Welcome to Letters from New Zealand. I am John Jarvis. It is the prevailing northerly winds that drive the rains horizontal in our country. And it was on such a day that I was a relief teacher and given a sports science class to supervise. The school had 2 gyms, but both were packed to overflowing with 4 classes. The bright class did not seem to mind, sitting on their benches in iron PE uniforms and expensive footwear, watching their sporting classmates vying for position, possession and points. My class was relegated to a north-facing prefab. It took my lads all of 20 minutes to complete their worksheets, and their looks asked, "Now what?" So I told them the world's greatest sporting story. Max Schmeling had been the world heavyweight boxing champion 1930 to 1932. It had not been an easy ride for Max. He was beaten once by Joe Louis, known as the Brooklyn Bomber, and once by Bayer, who had a Jewish father and wore the Star of David on his trunks. The bout featured many fouls on Max that were overlooked by the referee and judges. The crowd loved it. "Take that, Hitler!" and from a Jew no less. In a return fight with Louis, Max was losing on points when he noticed that Louis tended to drop his right hand slightly after delivering a punch. Max worked on that and soon had Louis in serious trouble. Max then became the only man to knock Louis down, and Louis was counted out. The crowd was stunned. Max never was a member of the German National Socialist Party and in fact helped 2 Jewish boys escape the Holocaust, and he refused to sack his Jewish minister at the Minister of Propaganda Goebbels' request. Max returned to Germany and was feted by the Nazis, something that Max had no say in. His final fight against a vastly improved Louis, most of New York came to a standstill and the crime rate dropped dramatically. Louis, a black American whose freedom was restricted in many parts of America, against a supposed Nazi. It was political and went far beyond a contest between 2 boxers. Max was completely outclassed, and today the bout would probably be stopped. But the crowd had come to see the flesh pounded. I recall watching a replay of the fight, seeing Louis land a blow to Max's solar plexus and watch his flesh quiver on the opposite side of his body. When Louis won, America went crazy and Hitler fumed. War broke out. Max was ordered to the Fallschirmjäger, the Luftwaffe's paratroopers. Normally, Max's size would have excluded him, but rumours suggested that Hitler and his cronies wanted Max to die in glory for the fatherland. The paratroopers were dropped on Crete and suffered high casualties despite being able, unlike their counterparts, to Roman candle. That is, to fire on the way down. They had their weapons strapped across their chests. Max would have fought against my father, who was the New Zealand lightweight boxing champion. Max was wounded in the knee and repatriated back to Germany. My father was captured and spent the remainder of the war in a prison camp. I did not see him until I was 6. After the war, Max became a president of Coca-Cola and became a wealthy man. Joe Louis, however, was milked of all his earnings by his so-called friends. A tax official at the time quoted that Louis would have to live to be 230 to pay back all the taxes he owed. Broken financially, mentally and physically, Joe ended up in hospital. Only one man visited him. Max, his old adversary, sailed the Atlantic one last time, paid off his hospital bills, and encouraged him to be a role model for the blacks who were unable to escape their ghettos other than by music or sport. When Joe died, Max paid for his funeral expenses. Max died in 2005, aged 99.